Welcome back to First Take. The Cowboys have a large question mark next to George Pickens as to whether they're going to pay him, tag him, or let him walk. And it sounds like the Cowboys are leaning toward franchise tagging him, which would ensure him a one-year, $28 million-ish deal by March 3rd. Pickens led the team in receiving yards and touchdowns last year. He also had career highs in both those categories, but did also lead the team with 4 fumbles. Here is Stephen Jones on the matter.
Pickens, of course, leaning toward the franchise tag. We'll finalize that here over the coming week or 10 days, and then we'll go from there. We want Pickens here. Think the world of him. Want him here, love him, and I think he wants to be here. So all that's a plus. A lot of guys who we've tagged, participated in everything. Dak leading the way, and he played under 2 of them, so he never missed anything. Hopefully that'll be the case here.
Hopefully. That is positive thinking by Mr. Jones. Peter Schrager and Jason McCourty join us now here on First Take. Schrags, is this going to be a prove-it year for Pickens?
Yes, it's going to be a prove-it year for Pickens, just like last year was a prove-it year for Pickens. And I listened to Stephen Jones' comment, and I'm imagining I'm George Pickens on this Tuesday morning, and I'm waking up wherever George Pickens is, like, do not compare me to Dak Prescott. And that is what the Cowboys are going to do. They're going to say, if Dak did it, you should do it too. Take the tag and be happy. You're going to make $28 million. What are you worried about? Truth of the matter is, Dak Prescott is a franchise quarterback who, when he was tagged, was making upwards to $40 million or $50 million for a year. And it wasn't really a prove it. It was a let's figure it out.
Yeah.
For George Pickens, when he was traded by the Pittsburgh Steelers, the rap was, can't rely on him, malcontent, don't know where he's going to be. I think he silenced all of those questions in his 1 year with the Dallas Cowboys, where he led the team in catches and yards and touchdowns and was absolutely fantastic in some big spots. That said, I understand where Dallas is coming from here. I understand it. Prove it to me again. This is the luxury that we have as a team. We can put the franchise tag on you, and you can have to go show us one more time, not only on the field, but off the field, that you have the maturity that you are going to be getting one of these huge mega deals paying you $30 to $40 million a year.
I hate the franchise tag. So I think, to Schrag's point, yes, he does have, it is a prove a year, because when you're signed to a franchise tag, it's 1 year guarantee. And now you have to hope that somebody else, whether it be the Dallas Cowboys or another team, is willing to pay you that big contract. So yes, he is going to have to go out there and do it again. But to your point, when you get traded for the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to say that we have these different variables. We have CeeDee Lamb on the other side that we already paid a boatload of money to. So we're going to need you to take number 2 money. If I'm George Pickens, those aren't my problems. I got here. You had already known you paid CeeDee Lamb. You, Prescott, my numbers are going to skyrocket, and they're going to be career year numbers. And that's what he did. So if you're George Pickens, yes, the franchise tag is a lot of money in 1 year. But now you have to go out there and prove it again. And the risk of injury, the risk of going out there and having the same type of year when every team now coming in know that you just went for 1,400 yards a year ago is that much harder. But to answer the question, absolutely, it's a prove it year. That's the definition of the franchise tag.
I say.
Unfortunately, y'all are right, because when we talk about a prove-it year, Stephen Jones doesn't have to prove anything. Jerry Jones doesn't have to prove anything, because they don't have to worry about being gotten rid of. And the reality is that even though I understand from a business standpoint, they have the leverage, they're exercising it, they have the power to franchise tag him at $28 million for 1 year. His market value for a long-term deal would be about $30.6 million, so it's not that far off. But the point is, they get another year out of George Pickens, where attrition could kick in, where an injury could occur, where they could be devoid of having the responsibility to make a long-term investment in him. And you look at it from that standpoint and you say, this plays right into their hands. The reality is that we all know how I feel about Jerry Jones, but the reality is, they haven't earned the right to be in that position. The system enables them to be in this position. The decisions that they made have not shown that they've earned the right to be in this position. When they moved on Micah Parsons, they should have moved on him earlier. The same agent that Micah Parsons has, you now deal with George Pickens. You could have found a way to work things out. The 2 pieces that you acquired before the trading deadline, had you acquired them a week or 2 earlier, you might have had a shot to make in the playoffs instead of missing it. There's an abundance of things that we look at the Dallas Cowboys, and we always say they're late to the party, they're late to the party. And where they seem to shine is in getting headlines for the actual negotiation process instead of negotiating and handling things expeditiously. You look at Dak Prescott. He's your star quarterback. You're paying him $60 million. The man is on the record saying, yo, man, we want George Pickens back. We need this brother back. Take care of him, okay? You'd like to think that they would look at that and look at the combination of CeeDee Lamb with Pickens, with Dak Prescott throwing them the football and say, this is an elite trio we can't get rid of. They don't have to get rid of him because they can franchise him. But having Pickens under a franchise tag, I don't know how good that is for the Cowboys. If he's worried about his long-term decision, about his long-term future, he's going to go out there and make what they call business decisions. And sometimes you might not go all out because you're trying to preserve your health to make sure you're positioned for that long-term deal, rather than going all out and potentially putting yourself at greater risk to get in the way of that long-term condition. These are the Dallas Cowboys we're talking about here. It usually goes down like that a lot of times. It usually happens like that. So I don't know how wise it is. They do have the leverage from a business standpoint, guys. They have every right, like both of y'all pointed out. But I agree with J. Mack. I don't like it at all. I don't like the fact that they're in a position to do this to George Pickens. Keep him long-term or let him go, because chances are if he's under a franchise tag, again, Peter, he's going to be out there making business decisions. We've seen him make what we deem to be business decisions before this situation. Imagine what he's going to be if you franchise tag him. I don't know how well that's going to work for them.
I also,
really don't.
Great point, Stephen A. And I also look at it from the Cowboys' perspective. They went through this with Dak for 2 off seasons, and I remember covering it very closely. Daily, is Dak going to be a Cowboy? Is he not going to be? Ezekiel Elliott went deep into the off season. Of course, we had CeeDee Lamb. And then Micah last year. Like, this is becoming a Cowboys thing. And now this one's unique in that this is a guy who they brought in on a deal and had a free agent contract right away, and he wasn't one of their homegrown players. But gosh, what a break from what's been an off-season annual rite of passage of doing Cowboy segments of will they pay him, will they not? Well, imagine they just paid him and said, let's just pay him. Let's just pay him because we have the money, and we think that these two guys are pillars and cornerstones to have wide receiver 1 and wide receiver 2 in the NFC East.
Last thing I'll just add really quickly. If you pay them a long-term deal, it frees up more money and cap space for them, which allows them to address their defense to actually be a competitive team and get back to the playoffs. I think that should be the key for them. If you can extend George Pickens and now you have more money to expand on that defense, now you can actually go out there and say, hey, we're a contender in the NFC, because right now without that defense, doesn't matter if they have George Pickens or not.
And I think that's what people forget.
And
like,
also,
franchise tagging doesn't always help your pocket. It doesn't always benefit the team the way people might think. Go ahead, S.A., final word.
The other thing is, and right there, I'm leaning on my relationship with Jerry Jones, and I'm asking everybody to remember the 2 interviews that he did with me. One was on my YouTube show, and the other was when he came on my radio show. And in both instances, he's telling you how he thinks, and you know, he's going to hold on to that money. It was hard for him to pay primetime Deion Sanders come out of his pocket of $13 million at that particular moment in time. And he's a guy that literally thinks about what he had to go through. Not 1, not 2, but $3 billion lawsuits against him when he first took over ownership. Jerry Jones is the kind of person who believes it is an absolute privilege for you to be playing for the Dallas Cowboys. And he believes that there's a discount that comes with that. Now, we all disagree with that. We get that part, but that's how he thinks. And so when it comes to this time of year, you never know what he's going to do to get in his own way, at least in the immediacy of the moment, just to make sure that he reminds people of that mode of thinking that he lives by. It's repeatedly gotten in the way of negotiations, and he hasn't cared.
Last time Dallas reached a long-term deal on a player tagged for the first time, 2015, Des Bryant. It has been a minute. Mel Kiper Jr. has released his latest NFL mock draft just this morning. There's a certain selection Stephen A. cannot wait to touch on. You don't want to miss that. And then, look who's here. WWE superstars CM Punk and AJ Lee are in the building. They have huge matches at Elimination Chamber this Saturday. We'll dive into this next. Hi, guys. And we brought the belt, too. Love it. Chicago, that's right.